Okay, great things, my fellow warriors. This is your boy Meckanimal, and today I'm gonna try to reply to my fellow warrior GAINZ. His concern is to know what may have happened during my pec tear, and what are my theories about it. Your question was pretty long, so I figured I should make a video to address all your concern. So my theory is that I did a little bit too much work, too much frequency on top of too much volume. But I think volume is the critical part. I did a little too much because I was feeling extreme soreness, but I just went still regardless of what my body was telling me. In spite of all that warning, I still went ahead and still kept dipping as hard as I could because I was getting ready for these weighted calisthenics competitions in New York. So I was 2 weeks out when that happened. I tore my pec, and that was it. So yes, frequency not so much. I did proper frequency, but total volume just way too much. Way too much volume. Weighted dips and weighted pull up at the same damn time. And we can argue that it was poor programming. Unfortunately, I have to admit that, and that must have been the reason why I tore the pec. So poor programming. Not that I was doing anything beyond my ability. I was just going balls to wall, and yeah, that was the mindset back in 2013. Yeah, it was really a different animal, Meckanimal. Not so methodical about what I'm doing, just going as hard as possible. And so, what were your questions? What were your theory? What were you doing? Slow eccentric, control eccentric, not super slow eccentric. I was just control to the best of my ability. No, post dip stretch, yeah, I did those versions as well. Pause dip, and if I was still to do the weighted dip, which I don't do anymore because I just chose to focus on skill. If I was to ever get back into it, yeah, the pause dips and never something I will put aside. It's always a good tool to have in your arsenal. The same thing with the weighted pause pull in the middle, especially the mid pull, which I've never done. But if I was to get back in weighted pull up, that would be part of my programming. The mid pull, the mid rest pulls. And what else? Did you do weighted dips to parallel or full range of motion as much as possible? It's not as much as possible. I still had the protocol to go. I just did a little too much, too many sets. That's what happened for the cumulative volume to result in the pec tear. And maybe the frequency, I already answered that. Not so much the frequency, it's just the right frequency. And maybe you were training past failure. No, I wasn't training past failure. My rep range was within 5 or 8. So, and sometimes singles when I try to work on intensity. On my volume days were more like 5 and 8, sometimes 12. I can't really recall. It's been so long. But yeah, it wasn't to failure. I never really believe in training to failure. Only trained to failure in my first 3 years when it was just bodyweight training, bodyweight calisthenics, and it was just, yeah, definitely past failure. We used to train past failure, on those beast mode days, but it never really resulted in pec tear because it's not anything your body cannot sustain, which is good about bodyweight training. Unless you're super weak, you shouldn't result in a substantial tear or strain of your muscle just due to bodyweight training alone. Yeah. Now, when you add weight, then you have to be careful and pay mind to your body and listen to the cues. Super close. How much did you weigh at that time? Yeah. In 2013, how much did I weigh? I think about maybe 175 or so. Yeah, I was transitioning from 170 170 to 175. I like to think I was a solid 175, about halfway through from what I am today, because I'm around 192-ish right now. At my driest I can be 185-ish maybe, but I'm on average 192-ish. And at that time, yeah, I was on average 175-ish. Yeah, so I was about 175 at that time. Yeah, and at that time I wasn't able to dip 100 kilogram, yeah, like 225. I was not able to do it yet, and it's close though, because once I healed from my pec tear, by a year and a half later, I was able to peak through 6 to 8 weeks, and I was able to get a 225 dip out of the way. So I was pretty close then. Otherwise it won't take me just that this little time of peaking to get it done. And how much were you lifting? Yeah, so when this happened, I think it was 295. I was not 295. How much was that lifting when it happened? It might have been 225. I have the video there on my the video where I tore my pec. I'm just not sure whether it was 5 plate or 4 plate plus 25 on the other side. Yeah, but I had done a 5 plate before. It was just not clean, and maybe I was trying to film the 5 plate that day. I will have to take a look at it again. You can judge by yourself. I'm just not sure whether I had 25 on the other side plus 5 plates, which I was able to do quite normally, or if it was 5 plate really that I was going for. Yeah, so it was either 80 kilogram plus 10 plus 12, maybe 92. It was either 92 kilogram, or I was going for 225 pound, which is 100 kilogram, 102 kilogram. So either one of the two. It was pretty heavy, but not something that was way beyond my ability. And at that time, were you at your best dip? What were your best dip? My best dip was clean was 92 kilogram. Not clean was 102 kilogram, which is 225 pound. And your overhead press, what was my overhead press? I don't think I ever really did much overhead press at that time. Maybe playing around with it. I don't think so. At that time I wasn't really acquainted to the overhead press yet. But the first time I did my overhead press, I was able to do like 165 pound, and which is how much? 165 pound. Nothing really impressive, but I think that was about what I was able to do at that time. Nothing impressive, and it didn't take me too long to really get really good at it. So that's when you know you're good at something. And yeah, 165 pound. I'm not sure how much it is in kilogram, so you can make the conversion. And what was your bench press? I didn't bench press at that time either, and I only bench pressed about 2 years later. And my best, when I first tried, I was able to get 275, 285. I think 285 pound at the max, good clean. And after benching for a whole month, that's when I was doing squat every day. I started to do bench every day. I benched every day for 30 days, and I was able to peak to 305, and that was it. I think that's the best ever recorded bench press that I had. It's on file as well. So yeah, I think the best was 305 pound. Yeah. But in 2013, when I tore my pec, I didn't bench at all. I didn't know anything much about bench. On the row, I didn't row at that time at all. Yeah, I didn't start rowing really until like maybe 2017, 18. I'll say 2018. That's when I really tried the row. I never really focused on the row. Chin up, weighted chin up. I think it was 135 plus 10, 145. So I think my max chin up was possibly 145 pound, which is 3 plates plus maybe 10 pound on the side. Yeah, that was about that at the time where I tore my pec. I'm not sure, but I like to think that was the case. Yeah, 145. Nothing impressive, because I got a lot better after the injury, way better than what I used to do. Even the form was still kind of janky and all over the place. When I look back at some of this old footage, thinking it was all that, yeah, I get a little cringed up. And weight, what's the chin up weight, and how many reps? Yeah, so those are all 1 rep max that I just listed, and all the lifting weight. So yeah, on the dip was, I said, 92 kilogram clean, 225 that I did for twice but never recorded because it was so ugly. And on overhead press 165 maybe. On bench press, no bench press. On weighted pull up, I think 145 pound. That's about it. So yes, so I answered all the questions regarding my pec tear and my strength level at that time. So yes, it wasn't really anything that anybody should worry about. It's not that the weighted dip is risky. It can be risky, especially for that population, that little population of people who have like a narrow what you call rib cage. They can feel a little stress around the sternum, and once you feel that, you definitely have to step back and stay away from the weighted dip. But that just applies to a real little population of people who train. And if you're one of those, then you can just resort to a different movement to train your triceps and your chest. So many other options out there. But in terms of for the rest of you guys who don't fall into that compartment, you can go for the weighted dips. It's really good, especially to build muscle. And at this point, I wish I could lose a little bit of mass, so I don't see myself ever coming back to weighted dip anyway. So I just want to focus on skill work and just be as badass as possible when it comes to figures. And yeah, that's my path, at least for now, because I'm done putting mass on my body. I just want to stay like that and just get ridiculously strong. And you will see like the shape of your muscle can even make you look bigger because of the intensity, the nature of the gymnastics skill work. That can be a different video, a topic for a different video that I can make in the future. So yes, it's getting too long, almost 14 minutes already, and I hope I answered your question. My pec tear was due to too much volume, cumulative volume. I just did too many sets of it, and may have just failed to gauge what was my power at that time when I went for that extra set, and may have resulted in a pec tear. So that just answers the concern. Hope all my fellow warriors are doing great. Everything is and will always be the Meckanimal way. Salutes.